it's an incredible, incredible loss because obviously Greg Popovich would be one of the first to tell you part of the reason why he is who he is, being as great as he is, was due in large part because of her presence in his life. So it has to be devastating, and my prayers are with him and his family.
40-plus years, that's something special. We wish them all peace and comfort during this very difficult time.
Postseason, finally hit us very well.
James all the way. James lays it home. LeBron James tonight very much engaged. What an exhibition being put on here by LeBron James.
LeBron definitely did a great job just setting the tone early offensively.
James off the steal. James! Slam! That's the old James-worthy Statue of Liberty dunk right there. The steal and the bucket. A huge play by J.R. Smith.
Across the timeline, Oladipo open on the right wing for three. Off the heel, no good, and LeBron gets the rebound over Thaddeus Young.
I don't come in the game saying I'm going to try to do this, I'm going to do that. It just kind of happens to flow of the game. I play the game the right way, and that's just the result of it. So.
Hey, thanks for hanging with us on this Friday Eve. Molly Karam here holding things down in Bristol. Max and Stephen A. are on the road. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
All right.
Let's do it.
Good morning, good morning.
We will get right into it. The Cavs beat the Pacers 100-97 to even the series at one game apiece. LeBron James put the team on his back and then some, finishing with 46 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists. But Ty Lue not happy with the rest of LeBron's crew, saying they need to do more to help the King. Stephen A., who needs to step up the most, though, for this Cavs team?
I think J.R. Smith. Me personally, that's the name that I come up with, simply because he's needed. I'm not trying to decry anything that he did last night. LeBron James was on a roll. You defer to the greatness of LeBron James, who came out and scored the first 16 points of the game pretty much, 20 in the first quarter, 29 in the first half. He was absolutely sensational. He put the Indiana Pacers on notice that if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to come through me, and I'm simply not going to let you do that. So it's going to be real interesting. Now, he was helped along by the fact that Victor Oladipo picked up 2 quick fouls in the first 62 seconds, so that's certainly didn't help. That certainly didn't hurt his cause. But in the end, what it comes down to is that LeBron carried the day. The reason I bring up the name J.R. Smith is because J.R. Smith played 35 minutes, only attempted 5 shots. And really, it was only 4 because one of the shots that he took, one of the points that he scored, was when he stripped Victor Oladipo late in the game and went in for a layup, which was a big-time play on his part. You cannot be J.R. Smith on the court for 35 minutes and essentially attempt 4 shots, because I don't even count that one, the steal and the layup. You basically attempted 4 shots. You've got to give me more aggression than that. I understand that LeBron was on a roll, and I get all of that. But you can't be the starting shooting guard on the court that Ty Lue decided to insert into the starting lineup along with Kyle Korver, and in 35 minutes on the floor only find yourself taking 4 shots, essentially. You have to be more aggressive than that, and I think that's what it's going to require in order to beat the Indiana Pacers in this series. I definitely believe that LeBron is going to do his thing, but he's going to have to get help from somewhere. We all know it needs to be Kevin Love, but the bottom line is J.R. Smith is the one that's got to step up and help them both. He's pivotal in this series.
No, it's actually Kevin Love. You said it at the end. Kevin Love is the guy who has to step up. He's been okay, but it's not okay to be okay. Not good enough to be good enough. Kevin Love has to be great. Look, LeBron James is the 5-star player I talk about, 5-star MVP caliber. Who's his sidekick? Who's his right-hand man? Who's his ace? It was Kyrie. Kyrie, 4-star, I would say, is an all-star. Kyrie's like 4.5. He's all-star plus. Maybe not MVP, but all-star plus. And what's Kevin Love? Let's not forget, there was a time not that long ago on the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Hold on,
yes, Stephen A.
Hold on for a second, Max. Hold on for a second, Max, because your mic is messed up. They got to take care of that. Let me take it from here until they fix your mic. Here's the reality of the situation to address your point about Kevin Love. Kevin Love suffered a broken left hand. Kevin Love came back after being out for a few weeks. He re-injured that hand again yesterday. You walk into this series, Molly, understanding that he's a bit debilitated. You understand that Kevin Love isn't himself. He isn't 100%. I'm not saying that Kevin Love doesn't need to produce. I'm saying that you walk in recognizing the limitations he's exposed to because he's not 100% healthy. Understanding that elevates the importance of J.R. Smith even more because J.R. Smith has he has to take the reins. He's got to be aggressive. This is a starting guard, a starting shooting guard in the NBA that the past 2 seasons hasn't even averaged double digits. That is unacceptable. He's better than that. He has to play better than that. He didn't play bad last night. I'm not trying to imply that. I'm basically going Lonzo Ball on him from the standpoint. I'm not saying that he can't play. I'm saying that he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to go for it. He needs to want it. He needs to demand the attention and demand the moment. Because if he does that, he takes some of the pressure off of Kevin Love to a lesser degree, and certainly off of LeBron James. And that's what needs to happen here when it comes to J.R. Smith and the Cleveland Cavaliers in this particular series.
I've got a couple questions for you. I want to start with Kevin Club, and then I want to get into some of the other guys like Clarkson, Hood that they got in that trade. So with Love, though, how concerned are you about this hand now? Already injured, now he hurts the thumb again, moving forward. Like, can they even do anything if this guy's not 100%?
Well, if he's not 100%, they can still do some things. If he's out, they're going to lose this series. I really think that right now they need Kevin Love that badly. For some reason, Ty Lue is not playing Tristan Thompson. I don't understand why. He certainly has his distractions. He's got things going on in his life. Maybe being on the basketball court might help him. I don't know. But you got other guys like the Rodney Hoods of the world, the Jordan Clarksons of the world, that I expected to have more of a profound impact. And I still think there's a chance for them to do that in this series. But there has to be a collective effort for individuals to step up and take the reins because of Kevin Love. Kevin Love is not 100%. You got to remember, even though he can shoot the basketball, primarily he's defending against bigs. He's rebounding the basketball. Those 2 qualities alone puts him in the post with big bodies that are throwing elbows and forearms and leaning their bodies on him, et cetera, et cetera. And here we have this guy has a fragile hand. So if you have a fragile hand and you're in those situations, it's an incredibly precarious position for him to be in. You have to find a way to address that. And the way you address it is by taking some of the responsibility, some of the onus off of his shoulders and getting others to step up, because if they do that, you don't key on Kevin Love. And if you don't key on Kevin Love, then there's an elevated level of possibilities that this guy may not end up getting hurt on you, which is what you want. You want his presence on the court, on the floor, as much as you possibly can, because you know he can hit perimeter shots, thereby enabling you to spread the floor and run your offense the way that you want it run. That's why you have to keep him healthy. You got to do everything you can to make sure that happens.
Stephen A., real quick, before we head to break, and we'll get Max back with us, where's your irgendwie meter right now with this team?
I would say to you it's at about a 6, because when Kevin Love got injured yesterday, I was wondering whether or not he was going to play Friday. They had to do Sports Center last night, of course, and they announced before the Sports Center hit that Kevin Love would be fine, and Ty Lue said he would be available for Game 3 in Indy. But the bottom line is that before you knew that he was going to be available for Game 3, you know, the future of the Cleveland Cavaliers in this series was contingent on his health, because you're seeing what everybody else is not doing. You got to remember, when they acquired Larry Nance Jr., Rodney Hood, George Hill, and these boys, you said, that 3 of them are 25 years of age. George is an experienced point guard at age 30. The collection of bodies enables them to defend better. It gives them more depth. Yet here we are, their defense is still shaky, and offensively, I mean, they're virtually non-existent. So you need more from those bodies you acquired in that trade, and it appears, especially now, more than ever before.
Yeah, and youth and enthusiasm, and you'd hope they'd be hungry. Hey, look who's back. The power of television. Max Kellerman, get in on this good stuff.
Unbelievable. Stephen A. cutting my mic just so I can't make my point about Kevin
I did no
Love.
such thing. I did no such thing. I wish I could do it more often. Go ahead.
Let me tell you something, Stephen A. Kevin Love is the key because he is the second best player on the team, and he has to be more than just an above-average starter. He was in Minnesota not long ago, considered by many an MVP caliber player. a guy who was, one of the guys truly worth the max contract in the NBA, the centerpiece, a franchise centerpiece. And by the way, in the Western Conference, on a team without much talent other than him, he was about 500 in the better seasons with the Timberwolves. That's a lot. That's for one guy to do. So when that guy, now you could say, he had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love the last couple seasons, but Kyrie was really the sidekick. Kevin Love was the third best player on the team. Can Kevin Love be the second best player on at least an Eastern Conference team? He has to be that good. He can't just be above average. He has to be at least all-star level, if not above, somewhere between an all-star and an MVP caliber player. He's been that before. It's not like it's the first time he'll ever be that good in his career. And Stephen A., the injury to the left thumb, as you always say, all right, Kevin Love, what you going to do? What are you going to do? How many athletes throughout history, Stephen A., the great ones, the championship athletes, have had to battle through physical adversity like that? Many. And so, all right, Kevin Love's going to have to be one of those guys, because if he's not a special player, if LeBron doesn't have a right-hand guy, a sidekick, who's better than just average or a little above average, the Cavs don't have a shot.
Well, listen, like I say, we can't do it. We can't do him like that, though. It's not like he's not playing, but we have to recognize the fact that he's not 100%. And we also have to recognize the fact that it's a delicate situation. That's like, to use one of your boxing analogies, Max, that's like getting on a guy that's a knockout artist and getting in the ring and he breaks his hand and you're like, the hell with it. No excuses. Knock him out anyway. Well, wait a minute. He's got a broken hand. So, you might still have to go in there and box, but that doesn't mean that you have the power that you once had, because it hurts you more than it hurts him because your hand is broke. Sure. These are the kind of things that we got to take into consideration. You can't just sit up there and ignore the fact that he's hurt. Now, if he's not playing, that would be a different ball game. But he is going to play. He is going to be on the court. It's just incumbent upon his teammates to recognize that he's not 100%. And this is not some, stomach issue or whatever, chest contusion or anything like that. This is a hand. Yes, you shoot with your right hand, but you balance the ball with your left. And the bottom line is, if you've got some issues in that regard, that's going to hamper him. And like I explained to Molly, when your mic went out, you got a situation where Kevin Love's got a bang down there with those big boys, and all they got to do is hit him on his hand. That's a precarious position to be in.
Deal with it. Muhammad Ali fought Kenny Norton 12 rounds with a broken jaw. When the chips are on the line, you got to do what you got to do. Here's the problem. LeBron, that's true. Rocky Marciano scored a knockout to win, with his nose hanging off his face against Desert Charles. They're playing. Michael Jordan
didn't have anything to do with his fist.
You ever try to walk with the flu, let alone play a playoff game? Yes, but that's Michael Jordan, when he has the flu, that certainly debilitates him. It didn't stop him. The point is this. LeBron James, I think we both agree, how much more can he do? It's superhuman what he did, 44 points. It's ridiculous. That's Superman-type performance. So what else you got on the team? Kevin Love, who's played okay, and now he's limited by his thumb to an extent. Is he more likely to step up, or are one of these other players, none of whom have played even up to the caliber of average starter, likely to step up? I think you got to put your money on the all-star, the guy who is there the guy who lured LeBron James there. Let's not forget, LeBron saw Kyrie. Oh, Wiggins? Hey, if they trade Wiggins for Kevin Love, I think we can do something. Like, LeBron wanted him there. Kevin Love was the prize at the time. What's he got? Is he just okay, better than average? Or can he be the second best player? We're not even saying on a championship
I can move
team,
on.
On an Eastern Conference Finals team.
I got you. I can move on. Bottom line is, a starting shooting guard hasn't averaged double digits in 2 years. Give me something. Give me more than 4 shots in 35 minutes.
Not
That's
good.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, by the way,
he's good.
Max, you
JR's
mentioned
good. He's
LeBron
just not playing great.
being superhuman. After not scoring a point in the first quarter in his last game, he goes out and sets a record last night, scoring 16 in the first 5 minutes. So in other NBA action last night, guys, the Jazz beat the Thunder 102-95 to even the series at 1 game apiece. Friend of the show, Donovan Mitchell, putting in work. He scored 55 points in his first 2 playoff games, passing Michael Jordan for the most points by a rookie guard in the last 50 seasons. The Thunder's big three of Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony combined for 2 points on 0 for 14 shooting in the fourth. Max, what is the biggest issue with this Thunder team?
Yep. Well, I mean, it's the biggest issue with the Thunder team is the big three. the so-called Big Three. When you look at Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo, and compare them to the original Big Three, so to speak, right? When we started tossing that around, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett with the Celtics. Were those three much more talented than these three? Like, you think of Garnett, MVP. Westbrook was an MVP. You think of, Paul George, one of the elite forwards in the game. That was Paul Pierce. And Ray Allen was certainly, one of the great shooters ever, really, but certainly in the game at the time. Carmelo Anthony, still a great scorer. However you look at it, even if you want to say Boston's Big Three is a little more talented, it's ballpark. And yet look what Boston accomplished, and look how OKC is struggling. Part of that's coaching, sure. But part of it is putting your ego aside and learning how to play together. The Celtics did that with their Big Three. These Thunder have not done that. They simply haven't done it. There's too much ISO ball, particularly, as Stephen A. says, when palms get sweaty, right? Particularly as you get down to crunch time late in the game, you see them ISOing a lot. Oh, my, they're 0 for 14 in the fourth quarter. Of course you're going to lose it there. Well, why are they 0 for 14 in the fourth quarter? How many of those shots come off passes versus how many of those shots are just taken in isolation? Westbrook has a reputation as that kind of player, that kind of mentality. Carmelo certainly has been dogged by a reputation as a ball stopper throughout his career. But here, when they have talent around them, and they're playing a good team in the Jazz, but not world beaters that they should be intimidated by or anything, what are they going to do? Well, in fact, they haven't stepped up. They haven't learned how to play together, Stephen A.
Well, you could say that, but I think you're letting Billy Donovan off the hook. And I like Billy Donovan. He's a two-time national champion as a collegiate coach, and he's not bad on this level, but he certainly hasn't been great. Let's just call it what it is. He could do a better job. Let's look at these numbers here, Max. You're talking about Westbrook, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony. 11 of the 14. They went 0 for 14, okay? All right, 0 for 14 in the fourth quarter. 11 of 14 from beyond 10 feet. 10 of 14 did not come after a pass. Other 4 came off passes from Westbrook. 0 and 3 in transitions. Excuse me, you are Billy Donovan. You can't get better shots than that? You trying to tell me 10, 11 times out of the 14 shots were contested? This is one of the issues. If you remember, Max, you can't have it both ways. This is one of the issues both you and I had with Scott Brooks when Scott Brooks was coaching in Oklahoma City. We saw the greatness of Kevin Durant. We saw the greatness of Russell Westbrook. But how many times did we lament the fact that it appeared to be too difficult for them to get open shots? What they did contest it. So you're looking at things schematically. You look at a Greg Popovich. You look at an Eric Spoelstra. You look at a Doc Rivers to a lesser degree. You look at some of these other guys. And what do you see? You see them calling plays where even their stars from time to time or a supplementary star is open for a shot. You didn't see that with Scott Brooks. You're not seeing that with Billy Donovan. And that's what we have to look at. Westbrook, Melo, Paul George. You got a three-headed monster on the court. You can't find a way to get one of them open? One of them? Come on now. Come on now. The two could be a decoy, for crying out loud. You should be able to get one of them open. The fact that most of those shots were contested tells me that it's just as much about coaching as it is about the players.
Sure, I'm not going to, I think that's a good point. But if you're going to ask me what does it come down to more, the coaching or the players, I'm going to say it's the Big Three. I'm going to say, because before you can even get into designing plays, and one feeds the other, if plays aren't well designed, if there's no cohesive offensive philosophy, guys are more likely to kind of bunker, down and do their thing. Of course. But first comes, when you're talking about the steps you take, first comes buy-in, getting buy-in from your stars to trust each other, to share the ball. You got to have that. Now, Westbrook's tendency, my favorite player, because he is so aggressive and so great, when it gets tough, he has tunnel vision. He pulls harder and harder and harder. And he doesn't want to just, it's not that he doesn't want to, he trusts himself more than anyone else. By the way, for good reason. And there was a play in the game, and it was brought up on various broadcasts late in the game, where Westbrook gives it up to Carmelo, expecting it back, never gets it back. But Westbrook, as the leader of the team, can't allow that to demoralize him and throw him off course and get him to pull even harder and not share the ball.
he gives up the ball more than enough to them on many occasions. He's giving them the ball, and they're getting some open shots. More importantly than that, again, knowing the game of basketball, if you're on the court with two other primary scorers, in today's NBA, somebody is open, man. When we look at Quinn Snyder, let me tell you something right now. Donovan Mitchell put on a show, and we can have that Rookie of the Year conversation anytime y'all want to. You watch this brother with a bad foot, having missed all 7 of his threes, and still putting on the show that he's putting on. Look at some of the open shots other Utah Jazz members had. How in God's name do you have a three-headed monster plus Steven Adams on the floor and getting contested shots? I mean, come on now. Something's got to give. Again, I like Billy Donovan. I'm not in any way trying to imply that the man can't do the job. I'm just saying he has to do better. He has to do better, too.
Steven Adams ran into Steven Adams ran into some foul problems and that foul trouble, and that with him off the floor, with him not inside, the spacing isn't as good for sure. But if this comes down to Steven Adams in foul trouble, messing up some spacing, and as you say, Billy Donovan, or as I say, the big three can't figure it out and lose to a team with much less talent, at least concentrated in their best 3 players, that is going to reflect primarily on whom? It's going to be Russell Westbrook first. He's the biggest deal on that team. Secondarily, Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, and then also Billy Donovan not being able to get it done.
Guys, we got to take a quick break here. All right. James Harden makes only 2 shots last night, and the Rockets still win by 20. But find out why the Beard is very lucky Houston drew the Wolves in the first round. Plus, many folks believe Saquon Barkley is the best player in the NFL draft, but perhaps the Browns should completely take him off their draft board. We shall explain. And stay tuned in the second hour because one of the hottest names in next week's draft will join us. Shaq Griffin is in the building. Don't go anywhere. It's First Take.